Okay, here's another question, another one written in. We've been married 17 years. On the outside, we look like a strong couple, 3 kids, active in our church, busy with work and life. But behind closed doors, we've been disconnected for years. We tried the quick fixes, date nights, reading marriage books, even a few counseling sessions, but nothing seems to stick. I just feel alone and I'm tired. Part of me still believes we could find our way back to each other, but another part wonders if I'm only staying because I'm terrified of divorce, the shame, the judgment from our community, and how it impact our kids. I don't want to walk away from something that could be saved, but I also don't want to spend the next 50 years feeling this alone. How do I know if it's time to keep fighting for my marriage or if it's finally time to leave my partner? Okay, great question. Now, I kind of get this all the time. How do we know when it's time to divorce? How do we know that? And this is so heady, but listen with me, okay? You can't fix something you can't lose. In order to be able to actually have a love that's healthy with your kids, you have to be strong enough to let them go. We just heard earlier with Cassandra, she's got a child about to go that has a seizure disorder, and is about to go away to college. But everything in her wants to stop that from happening. Or if he's going to go, you better be really good at managing your seizures. We're caught in this thing where if I'm too afraid, then I have to control, or I'm too afraid, so I have to avoid. A lot of times when people are divorcing, they're avoiding. And a lot of times when people are can't divorce, they're avoiding. So not divorcing can be avoidance, and divorcing can be avoidance. Divorcing can also be controlling. I'm going to control you, get you to do whatever I want, or I'll divorce you. And by the way, notice though, that only works if I'm not strong enough to leave you. So the principle we're teaching here is that the only way to know if you should divorce or not, and I'm not here to tell you whether you should or not, it's, are you independent enough to do it? Are you physically strong enough, financially strong enough, socially strong enough, emotionally strong enough, spiritually strong enough? Boom. Are you strong enough to do it? If your very God came down and talked to you face to face and said, you must divorce him, he's evil. If you're not strong enough to divorce him, you still won't divorce him. Period. So, in order to do anything, by the way, to leave a marriage or to save a marriage, you have to be strong, independent in order that you could go eventually to save it and be interdependent, or divorce and be a true independent. So what I tell people a lot of times when they come see me, why don't we just put your marriage on the shelf? Let's quit pretending like we're going to save it or not. Why don't we just get good at you being independent and strong by you possessing character to be what you need to be, communication to be a good communicator, cooperation and companionship to be a good companion, and change, being willing to change and grow. When you're independent in character, communication, companionship, and change, when you're good at that, then decide if you're going to save it. But if you can't be good in character, like example, if you have too much fear to have the divorce because of what, by the way, the words she said was, I'm terrified of divorce. I will have shame for divorce, the judgment from our community, and how it will impact our kids. You need to go solve and lose the fear of divorce. Because again, if the person was just horrendous and abusing you, you'd still have the same fear. You'd still have the same shame. You'd still have the same judgment. But you know what you would have? You'd have an excuse of someone to blame. It was my dirtbag husband. That doesn't make it more right? Because in the end, if you need to move on, you need to be strong enough to move on. So before we ever decide to now break up the marriage, get your own house in order, physically, socially, emotionally, spiritually, financially. Get really good at feeding starved stuff. Get really good at exercising character by not reacting. Remember, all of this we talk about in our Becoming One program to give you tools to help you become one in your most important relationships. Get good at those tools. Get good at the character. Get good at taking the high road. Be the best kind of partner you can be. Not so they change and not because you're afraid of them, but because it's the right thing to be. And then once you're strong and healthy and at peace, because you do have the character and you do build trust and you do have communication and you do build and create understanding, and because you do know how to cooperate and be a companion, because you know how to create mutual benefit, and you're growing and you're changing, then go decide if you should stay. And I promise you, as soon as you put your own house in order, it changes the dynamic. Nobody needs to change if you're too weak to leave them. If you're too weak to leave me, I don't need to change for you. Right? So, but once you're independent enough to leave me and you're happier than you've ever been, and you don't even rely on me for certain things, and you've got your own social network, and you've got your own healthy growth and development, that will be scarier to the dependent person. Once you're independent and they're dependent, that means we're no longer codependent. So the way you break codependency is you get independent. And again, but you don't get independent to be without them. You get independent to love them more. That means you're even more the partner they need. You're even more healthy. We're actually listening to each other in our differences. Instead of me tearing you down, I'm independent. I can stand my ground. And I cannot be offended when you're going logical or when you're going emotional. I become independent. Once you're independent, that forces the other to make a choice. Are they now going to move with you to independence? Because you can't create interdependence if we don't have two independents. Does that make sense? That's the system of the relationship. And generally what we have are two people that are too dependent on the other. So we just keep kind of spinning. We just keep struggling. And that struggling is because I need you to be broken. The number one way to move on is you don't move on as a dependent. Get independent. And once you're independent, then you can move on to interdependent. That's what we talk about in our Becoming One program. For just $59 a month, you'll get access to weekly live group coaching sessions with me, where I will personally make myself available for an hour every week to answer your personal questions. 20 plus in-depth video programs on various topics like communication, parenting, self-confidence, managing anxiety, dating, and many, many more. Hundreds of hours of podcasts and deeper cuts on every topic imaginable, and brand new live workshops monthly. Click below to take the next step now. I can't wait to see you inside and help you start turning things around.